So at this point on a Sunday, we all know Donald Trump has gone and done it. We have now heard from politicians on both sides, by the way, in this breaking story, who said that it's unconstitutional. Why? Pretty simple. He didn't get any form of congressional approval, which is supposed to occur. Not only that, he didn't talk to half the Democratic side of the Gang of Eight on top of that. We've also heard from Putin, from the Iranian parliament, that they're going to close the Strait of Hormuz. We've heard all of these things. But what about, in this breaking story, is going on with the American people? While we're in the middle of trying to remotely process all of Elon Musk and Doge, and now all of what's going on with ICE, and just tearing people and family apart randomly off the street because of purely how they look, and finding out that there are people that are acting as ICE agents who were former January 6th pardonees, that kind of stuff. What we're not hearing from is, how does America feel about what just happened? And I'm going to show that to you in just a few seconds. Let's have a quick reminder of two things, very important. Number one, why this is eerily similar to how we got into a 10-year Iraq war, and also the commander in Trumposphere himself and thoughts on how that man thinks. Take a quick look at this.
You know, I'm old enough to remember 2002 when this network and everybody else was beating war drums as loud as you could beat war drums, and that there was every evidence of weapons of mass destruction. Of course, it turned out to be a giant lie. And I think before you
think
engage
this is
a
like
country
that?
with 92 million, I don't know, but I do know that the government lied to me profoundly 22 years ago. That I do know.
It's really important to understand that Trump himself doesn't think strategically. He doesn't think about geopolitics. He doesn't know what will happen in Iran. He doesn't have a plan for day two after he attacks Iran. He will respond to whatever is emotionally appealing to him, and also what his main concern is, that he be seen to have won. You know, whatever is the confrontation, who he's going up against, he must emerge as the winner. And so his decision will be about that. It will not be about what's good for Iran. It will not be about what's good for the Middle East, or even necessarily what's good for Israel. So you just take a step back when watching this, and don't imagine that you're watching some grand strategic game. You're watching him decide what's best for himself.
James Carville is spot on, and so is she. And what's currently going on right outside of Donnie's bedroom window? Look at what is happening in America at the Trump Tower in Manhattan and at the White House. Check this out.
Those live pictures right outside the White House. From where I'm standing, I can hear them very, very muffled in the distance with a loudspeaker, trying to make their voices heard outside of the West Wing.
They think they can show that is to come out in the streets. I want to play some of my conversation with two of the protesters out here earlier today. Take a listen.
I think it's really dangerous because Trump is such a weak idiot. But all he has, the only policy he has for foreign policy in the Middle East is war. And so this is super dangerous.
Well, I've got to say, I could hear him here in the studio at 30 Rock, so we heard him loud and clear. Let me ask you, Shaveed.
We have really good microphones, apparently.
Yes, you do.
Of Times Square right now, so many of these signs saying Trump is a war criminal, stop the war in Iran. Lots of money, lots of signs about money that has been spent on war. The organization putting this on is the Answer Coalition. They have said that they are frustrated and angry, and the only way that we're out here today because the people of the United States do not want a war on Iran. Trump, Netanyahu waged a completely unprovoked, illegal attack on Iran that the people of this country completely reject.
We just had massive rallies across this country, in other countries, and abroad on No King's Day. And then we also had a celebration on Juneteenth. Now what's coming, already planned, was another form of that on Independence Day on July 4th. And after this action, who knows what might come next from the American people. This is starting to hearken me back, and I wasn't there, but when I was a very, very young person in Mexico City at the Olympics, this, with a black glove from gold and silver medalist American track stars, along with all of the Vietnam War protests and the 4 students who were killed by the National Guard on the campus of Kent State. We are getting close, and it's not because we don't understand that military force is sometimes necessary. No, I'm someone who absolutely believes it's necessary. But what we have is exactly what happened after 9/11. What we have is intel that's saying one thing and a president who's acting in an entirely other direction, who literally said, yeah, my director of national intelligence is wrong, and went ahead and did this. And also only spoke to the Republican side of the Gang of Eight. When you think back, when you look at Michael Cohen, the fixer, Russia hoax, it's all a hoax, there was no collusion. Well, no. There's no collusion when it comes to Donald Trump. He doesn't collude with the Democrats of his own party. He doesn't collude with his own director of national intelligence. He is functioning for America in a military strike like he's always wanted to be. The mob boss, dictator, solo, don't ever forget, this is a man when running in 2016 who said, I and I alone can fix it. No, Donald, you and you alone may have just broken it. You guys stay frosty.